The one night that we wait for, when it's all put on the line. We all striving to reach the top and be the champion this time.
I'm gonna be a champion. Yeah, I got what it takes. Risk it all, make my own fate. Yeah, I'm gonna be a champion. All the glory and the fame, just setting in my own plane. I'm gonna be a champion. Silhouettes in the spotlight, cash falling from the sky. Yeah, I'm gonna be a champion. All it takes is one night for me to turn around my whole life.
We are just 11 nights away from the Oscars. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Change the F Up. I am indeed Nate the Effing Great, and joined here by always the lovely and very talented VicTori Belle. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very excited. It's getting close.
It is getting close, and this is the final edition of our Oscar Shoulda, Woulda, Coulda, and it is about movies that we thought should have been nominated for the Oscars this year that unfortunately did not make it. But before we get into that, I've got to ask, how was Milwaukee?
Milwaukee MightyCon was amazing. So, I mean, this has kind of been the trend of talking about Milwaukee MightyCon, is there was a lot of controversy coming up since it did change its location from Serb Hall to the Wisconsin Fairgrounds. People were like, oh, like on Facebook. I never heard a person in person saying this, but they were just nervous that people weren't going to come. They were worried about the vendors. They're like, oh, you got to pay for parking. It's $6. No one's going to come. But, you know, what's awesome is this was one of the most successful MightyCon, is what Randy Beasley told me, who he's the PR and promoter and one of the people who runs all these MightyCons that are all across the Midwest. He's like, we had almost 2,000, maybe more people show up. They don't have the exact numbers, but I mean, from being there, I definitely could tell that it was a successful con, and it was amazing. I was so excited that so many people came, especially hearing all the negativity before the con. I was really nervous. I was like, oh, I love Mighty Cons. I never want to see any convention not do well, but with all the negativity over Facebook, and for them to come out on top, having one of the most successful Mighty Cons ever, it's very exciting. It's a good way to start off the con season for me, and good way for them as well to pull, you know, such a fan base to their convention. So I'm excited for the next one.
You know, when you said, like, controversy, I thought there was going to be, like, some kind of political deal that somebody was just going to say, like, oh, gosh, no, because of this going on, because Donald Trump and blah, 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 blah. It's like, come on, guys, really? Don't let this turn into the Grammys. Just, jeez.
No, let's be honest. No con is ever going to be affected by that stuff. So I don't even want to bring any of that stuff ever up in a convention. Conventions are safe zones. You don't have to talk about politics.
Unless somebody has a realistic gun, then I'll be like, that just kind of freaks me out just a little bit, where it's like, that looks a little too real to be, you know, not fake. But I'm sure you've seen that more than I have.
Oh, no, never. I've never seen a gun like that, because con security is up there, especially at MightyCon. Awesome security. You cannot walk in there with a weapon that looks real. Sorry.
Oh, well, fair enough. All right, so let's just not waste any more time. Let's just get right into it. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Our top 5 movies that should have been nominated for this year, and this was, honestly, for me, this was a little bit easier because I already knew most of the movies right off the bat, but I did have to find one more movie to really bring it home. It actually turned out to be one that I just saw a couple days ago, and it turned out to be my actual number 1 movie, so we'll get into that in just a bit. But as always, Tori, why don't you kick off the list?
Yeah, well, I think what's interesting for me is I was thinking this was going to be really hard, just because I wanted to try to have my list as diverse as possible, since the Oscar movies are always so diverse. They have so many different plot lines, different angles from books, from comics, from anything, action, drama, comedy. You know, they kind of cover all you know, spectrums of themes. But I knew for a fact I was going to struggle with doing that, because I feel like the movies that are dramatic that I see, that I have seen this year, are nominated. So I was like, oh no, I'm going to be so pigeonholed into comic book movies and action movies. But that, for me, kind of brought up a new point of, like, wow, a lot of these movies don't get any nominations, and it's kind of sad because they do so well, and they do have a lot of crazy, like, things going on that are really good visual effects that I feel like could definitely have been nominated. So that made me kind of come back to my list and being like, you know what? If a movie, just because it's action, it doesn't mean it doesn't deserve some sort of nomination through makeup or something. So I was able to pick my picks with a little justification that way by saying, okay, I know I might seem like I only watch like nerdy action or comedy movies, but these are all kind of based on like, oh, they have good things too, and they never get nominated. So besides Suicide Squad, which got nominated for makeup, but thank goodness, right? Like, hey, there's a comic book movie nominated. But so to start it off, I'll start off kind of low. My number 5 pick was going to be Warcraft, which came out, I think in June 2016, based, of course, on the World of Warcraft, Blizzard's. It was really cool. For someone who, I actually don't play video games like that, so I've never played Warcraft. I, of course, know what Warcraft is, and know it's, you make your own character, you go around this world that's an insane world of elves and dwarves and goblin guys, I don't know. But to actually get the background story, which that's what Warcraft is the background story to the game, it was really cool. It made me want to play, even though I know I'm not going to because I'm not good at that. I can't do that. I would suck. But just the characters and how they brought them to life through CGI and makeup was so cool. Like, that's why I was like thinking they could have been nominated for makeup. I mean, it was intense how much these people had to interact with things that were not even there. So I really liked Warcraft. I know some people didn't like it very much, but as somebody who doesn't know that story, it made me appreciate the story and want to, see more if they have more in the future.
Hey, fair enough. I'll definitely agree with you on that. So my number 5 is actually going to be a very interesting one, to say the least, because some people already are going to say it's already been nominated for an Oscar, it's already been do this and blah, 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 blah. I started off with Star Wars Rogue One. And the reason why is because I think it should have been nominated for Best Picture. And, of course, reason why being that it was very different from any other Star Wars movie that I ever seen. A lot of these movies, of course, have the whole, Jedi versus the Sith Lords, and they got the lightsaber battles, and they're talking about the Force. This one was completely different, where you didn't have that factor. You more focused on somebody who really wanted to kind of not only help herself and help her father out, but also really focus on making sure that nobody suffers the same fate, because this is basically trying to figure out the weakness of the Death Star. All honesty, this was very well done. The characters were just brilliant, especially I think it was, oh my gosh, who was the robot? I'm gonna kick myself if I don't know the name. Oh, jeez. I thought that there was just a lot of comedy relief in there that made the tension kind of very easy, but also the action was just flat out amazing. And seeing the Death Star just blow up a side of the planet, it basically looked like an asteroid just hit. It looked just, oh my gosh. I remember going seeing it with my co-host Max, and we kind of had that look where we just looked at each other like, we never even thought of that. We never thought about the Death Star actually hitting a bigger planet and having that kind of an impact still, where it's like, geez, this is just going to wipe out everything. That's still even more amazing. And of course, you have some of the classic characters like Darth Vader, Princess Leia, Bail Organa, and gosh, now I can't remember what the main guy's name from, I think, the original Star Wars, like Gran Martov, I think was his name. I know so many Star Wars fans are just going to just kick me saying, like, no, it's this name, it's not this name. I apologize if I offend anybody. I am not good when it comes to names, but you get what I'm saying. All honesty, Star Wars Rogue One just did so well, and I mean, it's already got best visual effects, but spoiler alert, I think it's going to go to Doctor Strange. I'm not going to lie, because if I compared visual effects from Rogue One to Doctor Strange has got the advantage. I'm sorry. That's just my opinion, but... All right, so now you got number 4 for you?
Yeah, and I'll just move this one to number 4 just because I didn't really know, because Doctor Strange isn't out on video yet, so I couldn't tell if it had a nomination just by looking through videos that I was just researching online. So I'll do my number 4 as Doctor Strange. And
right.
honestly, the reason I wanted it is because it was so crazy visual effects. So I guess maybe my nomination is not valid because it's not a woulda, shoulda, coulda. It's nominated for that. So
Well, I mean, you could still make the case like I did, because like I said, for Rogue One, it got nominated for this, but I mean, it could be nominated for something else. Like I said, Rogue One could be nominated for Best Picture, in my opinion. But I think for like Doctor Strange, I think it's a really good movie. Do I think it should be nominated for Best Picture? Probably not. I think directing-wise, I mean, if you want to throw the lead actor's name in there, I would definitely say, yeah, I could see that being in there. But, I mean, like I said, Best Picture, not quite there yet. But I'll kind of explain why in my next 2 picks. But, yeah, Doctor Strange is just flat out amazing. And I remember us still having that conversation in Milwaukee where you told me, it's probably going to be the most trippy thing that you have ever seen. And as soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh gosh, thankfully I am not high right now, because I would be tripping out even more if I saw this. Holy cow.
Yeah, that was literally why I picked it. It was because I thought the visual effects were amazing. So I guess I'm just rooting for it then to win. Therefore, my pick was Doctor Strange, and I hope it wins for visual effects because it tripped me out, and I...
Oh, boy.
Frozen.
Yeah, it froze. But you're saying that you wanted it to win because the visual effects. But I think you were going on from there. But
Yep, we're good. You're number 4. You go.
My number 4. All right, so this is actually going to be one of 2 Marvel movies that I have on this list. I'm not going to lie. I think that Marvel had another great year for movies. My number 4 pick was Captain America: Civil War. And I know a lot of people would say, well, it's kind of more comedy-based. Well, you have to look at it kind of in a way of, yes, Spider-Man and Iron Man, they kind of brought a little of the comedy relief in. But there's a lot deeper story to it, because this is basically a story saying, hey, do we need the Avengers? Do we need these guys? Captain America says, hey, we need to fight for justice. Otherwise, if they say, hey, we need you, there are going to be more lives that are going to be at risk here. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like doing what is right for them against what is right for the world, in a way. And I think that what really tied this movie in together was the final battle between Captain America and Bucky, Winter Soldier, against Iron Man. And just, again, that final phrase between Iron Man and Captain America, where Captain America says, he's my friend, Tony, so was I. That just stole the movie for me, where it's like, you feel the connection between the two of them. They were almost like brothers, and they're fighting each other because now Tony knows what really happened to his parents. And that is another thing that really gets me. It's like, didn't really know that this happened, and unfortunately, Bucky had no control over it. It was all stuff that was going on in his head, and that's what sucked. But, again, this was just a very good, well-done movie. I think directing-wise, awesome. Story-wise, amazing. Visual effect-wise, great. Plus, you got a star-studded cast, of course, of, Winter Soldier, Falcon, Black Widow, Hawkeye, Iron Man, Captain America. The list goes on and on. We get introduced to the new Spider-Man Homecoming, coming out this year. Awesome. Number 4 was just really, really good. So
It was. Civil War was just really, really good.
Bottom line.
which again, it's like, like nothing? There was nothing that could have been nominated? Come on.
Yeah, I agree. It was one of those things where it's like, it could have had actually, I think if a lot of these movies were nominated for visual effects, this would be a longer list, and everybody would be thinking, when does this end? Oh my God. So I can understand they had to limit it, but Civil War should have gotten something, I agree.
Yeah. It maybe even